Njali. And I'm not going to say your surname because your husband is here. Mr. Njali, whenever we are in other meetings, there's someone who is a colleague who always refers to your wife's surname as Njali. Minister of Correctional Services, Dr. Groenewald, ministers who are here present to grace this occasion, we thank you for pledging your support, not only to your fellow minister, Dr. Groenewald, but also to the work that is being done in correctional services as part of the criminal justice cluster. And to have the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture and the Minister of Social Development and the Deputy Ministers as well is a real boost to the standing of this occasion. I'd also like to extend my greetings to the representative of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, as well as representatives and, as we call them, commissioners of correctional services from other countries. Now, National Commissioner, as you were calling them all, I realized how poor your department is. They are all adorned in their full jackets. And when you just come and in a shirt, and they are in proper caps, and we must buy you better uniform. I also want to extend my greetings to the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee in our Parliament, National Assembly, as well as members of the Portfolio Committee. It's wonderful to see that they support the work of the department. And of course, I want to extend my greetings to all other guests who are here, including the judiciary, for being present here. 36 years ago to the day, the eyes of the world were fixated on the gates just beyond where we are standing now. We had the international network news system all gathered here. They were waiting for the moment when one man would walk out of the gates of history and into legend. Deputy Minister, it was not Utatu Nelson Mandela and I who walked out. I was never a prisoner here. He is the one who walked out, and we were all here to watch history unfolding. So we were bystanders. At around 4:15 p.m. local time, Nelson Mandela, with Winnie Madikizela Mandela beside him, walked out of the gates into the massive crowd that had gathered here to greet him. And some people were seeing this man for the very first time. To have been there beside the father of our nation as he took his first steps as a free man remains for me one of the greatest honors of my life. Few moments have marked for me a moment when I could bear witness to history being made at close range to the day that lit the path towards the birth of a new South Africa. Today, the Drakensberg Correctional Facility once again stands at the threshold of a new chapter in our country's history. We are here to open a training center that will carry Nelson Mandela's name and carry forward his legacy of service, of dedication, of leadership, and of rebuilding. The Nelson Mandela Rules Training Academy stands as a powerful affirmation of the values Madiba stood for, but also the values that he lived by and that continue to guide our democracy to this day. This facility will embody the letter and the spirit of the United Nations Standard Minimum Rules for the Treatment of Prisoners, now known as the Nelson Mandela Rules, as adopted by the United Nations General Assembly in 2015. Having spent 27 years in prison, Nelson Mandela stood for the fair and humane treatment of all throughout his life. Madiba believed that offenders are deserving of dignity, of respect, and humane treatment, and that justice is not measured by how harshly we punish, but how faithfully we uphold the concept of human dignity, even in the most difficult circumstances. The Nelson Mandela Rules advocate for, amongst others, humane conditions of imprisonment, the importance of rehabilitation of offenders, the provision of educational and vocational training for inmates, and recognizing the value of the work of the prison staff. We cannot talk about overcoming crime in our own country without having a frank, honest conversation about the rehabilitation of offenders, their reintegration into society and prevention of reoffending so that they come back into facilities like this. Yes, our people are truly concerned and even fed up with crime, and at most times are inclined to the lock the door and throw the key away mentality when it comes to offenders. And they often say, lock them up and let them rot in prison. Yet this will not serve us in the long term as a country and as a nation. Offenders come from communities, they come from our families. They are members of our communities as mothers, as fathers, as brothers, as sisters. They are also daughters and sons. They are husbands, they are wives, they are partners, and they are also girlfriends and boyfriends. I knew that would elicit the loudest laugh from Minister Mackenzie. But they are also colleagues. Inasmuch as far too many in our country have been impacted by crime, there are also many families across our country from whence these offenders come, and they too have suffered. Once they have served their sentences, as they often do, ex-offenders are released back into the community. It is therefore a priority that we ensure that they are rehabilitated and that they are provided with the necessary support to successfully be reintegrated into society, the very society that made them what they are. The reality is that we have fallen far short of this wonderful objective of rehabilitation, of reintegration. Last year, the Minister of Correctional Services disclosed that over the past 3 years, more than 18,000 ex-offenders out on parole re-offended, including for some really serious crimes. Ex-offenders face many challenges when they exit prison, particularly from the stigma of having been behind bars. Many lack basic assistance to have stability in their lives, to have financial stability and social stability as well. Because they have a criminal record, it is difficult, if not impossible, to find work. And even as I get applications as president to pardon them for crimes that they committed in the past, it takes a long time for those processes to unfold and finally reach my desk. And as they reach my desk, we have to go through each file very carefully to determine whether they deserve the pardon or not, so that they can erase that record that they were once a prisoner. Many ex-offenders leave prison with untreated mental health, as well as substance abuse problems. Rebuilding trust with family members and friends is perhaps the hardest of all. Countless offenders return to the same environment that they contributed to them offending, where they are exposed to violence and drugs. Ex-offenders who were members of gangs inside prison are pressured to stay affiliated to the gang even when outside of the prison walls. So they are finally sucked back into that world of gangsterism, of wrongdoing. Facing social stigma, an unwelcoming environment and social isolation, far too many return to a life of crime once again. The Nelson Mandela Rules Training Academy is determined to break the cycle. We are determined through this process, this academy, to break that cycle and start a new path forward. Last year, work commenced on the refurbishing of the Drakensberg Management Area Training Center into this new facility. It will focus on providing education, skills training and support to inmates, and in line with Nelson Mandela rules, extending the vistas of opportunity to inmates in preparation for life outside prison, and those serving long sentences a chance to better themselves. I am told that this is the first such facility of its kind on the African continent. So it will serve as a knowledge hub for our region here, SADC, not only for our South African officials, but also for the global correctional community. This is not only about building a building, but it is a story. You are welcomed by striking artwork depicting Madiba's art created by offenders themselves, which I observed as I walked through the facility, which I must say is most impressive. Very, very well done. when they showed me some of the chairs, I looked at them and I had this fear, will I fall if I sit on this chair? But I must say, the chair was really, really comfortable. It's the type that I would like to have at the union buildings myself. So we're going to put in an order. The Director General is here. We'll put in an order. Now, this is not incidental. It is deeply symbolic. It reflects the very essence of rehabilitation. It is about unlocking the human potential, the creativity, but it is also about unleashing and recognizing self-worth. I saw the paintings on the walls, and I thought some of them had been crafted by outstanding and well-known artists, and I was told that they had been crafted by the inmates here. And I asked, are they for sale? They said, yes, they often go on auction. So I'll make sure that I invite my ministers so that we can attend the auction and outbid each other when these are sold. Now, the furniture that fills these facilities has also been produced by offenders. I was told that, except for this one, I think this one is very presidential. So, but I'm told that for the rest of the furniture that I saw has been made by inmates, and it is really good quality, including the tables and every chair, very well crafted. Now, today we open a purpose-renovated and expanded facility, transformed into a modern training academy. One cannot help but marvel at the quality of the workmanship. It fills me with pride to appreciate work of such high standard being produced by local hands, by men and women within our correctional service system. Now, it goes beyond that. Each year, the Deputy President and myself conduct evaluations of our ministers where they come to account for the work that they do. And we did one evaluation of Dr. Groenewald and the Deputy Minister Njali. And we're very, very pleased and impressed, together with the Commissioner, of the work that is being done in this department. They obviously are overcrowded. 50% overcrowding is something that is of great alarm. But then they complain about the effectiveness of the Minister of Police and the National Director of Prosecutions, that they are doing too much of a good job, and they are imposing a problem on them. So they have a problem. But at the same time, it's a correctional services department that is really well run, and they need to be supported in the work that they do. And once again, I pay tribute to you, Minister, and you, Deputy Minister, and you, Commissioner, and all your officials for the excellent work that is being done. Now, what I also found most impressive is the drive which Dr. Groenewald spoke about of self-sufficiency, so that they don't keep on running to the fiscus, because our fiscus is quite constrained, as we will hear tomorrow as well. They want to move more and more towards self-sufficiency, to get inmates make their own uniform or clothes, inmates to make their own furniture, to make their own food, and to prepare their own food. And those are impressive steps that are being taken. And I applaud that, because that is part of the full rehabilitation process and the training that goes on. Dr. Groenewald was telling me about the discussions that they are having with our departments of education, both basic education and higher education, to see the extent to which there can be very good cooperation so that when inmates leave these facilities, they leave these facilities as having been properly trained academically as well as in a variety of skills. Now, working together with the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime as the custodian of the Nelson Mandela rules, this academy will ensure that training, practice, and policy are firmly guided by the values of what Madiba stood for. This facility symbolizes the humanization of corrections, the elevation of dignity, and the global pursuit of justice rooted in humanity. Allow me to pay tribute to the men and women of the department who perform one of the most demanding and often unrecognized duties in our public service. Every day, correctional officials work under difficult and sometimes under very dangerous conditions. As we heard, at times they are also attacked by inmates. Your responsibility goes beyond custody and security. You have the duty to transform lives and instill hope where there is often despair. We appreciate and acknowledge the challenges posed by overcrowding and resource constraints. However, I take encouragement from the efforts within the department to advance, yes, the further innovation that you keep coming forward with, of ensuring that there is productive work, ensuring that correctional facilities become places of true rehabilitation rather than mere containment of the human bodies and the human spirit. Your commitment affirms that even in the most difficult circumstances, our correctional system remains anchored in humanity, professionalism, and service to the nation as a whole. So may this academy stand as a living tribute to Nelson Mandela's legacy. May it shape generations of correctional practitioners committed to dignity and to reform. And may I end by saying you have no choice but to live up to that. The witnesses that you have brought here, right from the South African National Defense Force, from the Department of Justice, from SSA, from social development, from nearly all other departments, sports, arts, and culture, bear testimony to your commitment to make sure that this facility works. But there's another aspect to this facility. There is the house that Nelson Mandela was finally incarcerated in, where many of us came to see him. Minister Mackenzie has committed that they are going to spruce up that house so that it is wonderfully presentable, so that we can even attract tourists to come here. Many people would like to see where Nelson Mandela's last days in prison were and what it all looked like, the bed that he slept in or on, and the dining room that he sat at to have his meals, and where he relaxed, and where he also wrote his very many documents and letters. So we would like that house to be properly spruced up, because it's an historic article or icon in our country. Many who will come after us will want to visit that place and to remember and recall the day when he was released. So this is a very special place. It's not only about this academy, not only about this facility, it's also about memory. So let's consolidate all three and make sure that they work and they become a real symbol, a symbol of humanity, of dignity, of a respect for human rights. So I'm really glad to have come here on the day that Nelson Mandela was released. For me, it's also been walking down memory lane. And thank you for making me walk down that.